All right, we are live. I just the computer here. I would say camera. I don't have a camera. I have like one of these webcam deals that it requires an adapter, but I don't. My kids took the adapter because they're gamers, and the gamer's going to game. So sometimes they just come in here and take my stuff, and we allow it. We allow it. All right, the house. We just try to just say yes. We do that. I'm the dad who takes my kid out of school on his birthday, and we go to Dave and Buster's and we play all day. You only live once, and got to build those core memories. So maybe they won't remember me yelling at them to quit, to pick up, or to quit fighting with each other or something. So anyway, JBS is in here also. Hello, it's Wednesday, January the 22nd. No selfies required. He says, well, not sure how long I will be able to stick around this evening. 1757, where he is, but made it. Thank you for popping in, JBS. Cross the pond, you legend. Stevie76 is in here. He says, congrats. Thank you, Stevie76. In reference to a half marathon personal best at the Austin International Half Marathon, I ran a 1:20:35, which is a 3-minute, 23-second PB from a half marathon a couple of years ago. Panos is in here. He says, ring that bell. Okay, this is as ringing the bell. We just make the motion because I don't have a soundboard or an actual bell in the house because I have 3 children, and they would probably really like it if we had a bell, but I would not like it if we had a bell. CV76 says, get carded at D&B. Yeah. Hey, but you were at Houston, Stevie. I saw you in the Cole video. That's awesome, man. Got the whole fam out there. Yeah, I mean, I like I said in mile 10, I was just waiting for just Stevie, that encouragement on the sideline, bang on, man, you're bang on. 120. My wife did text me because she wants to support. She's from the warmth of the car, wherever she was at. She was like, go faster. The notifications come to my watch. So I felt like I was probably around a round number because she was like, you can get there or whatever. I was like, well, I don't know where we're going. Well, we're trying to get there fast. Alex Dominguez is in here. He says, more cowbell. Need more cowbell. Let's see. I used to do Christopher Walken. Dog, it's got no tail. Jimmy, shit in the bag. Piss in another. I got a nurse. What? What? No. It takes me a while to get Christopher Walken. No. Just, it takes a minute in the backyard. Because sometimes he just yells stuff. Anyway, yeah, sorry for that. But yeah, I used to like to do impersonations back when I was an actor. It was fun. Jen Piazza's in here. What's up, Jen? She says, we need an impression of Christopher Walken running a marathon. I don't know. Mile 1 started hot. Maybe a little too hot. Mile 2. I don't know. Okay, I'll stop. Stevie76 says, kittens. Kittens. All right. So what are we going to talk about today, man? I don't even know. Probably running shoes is what I would think. And then I do have some thoughts. I always have thoughts, lots of thoughts. Some of them, one of the thoughts that I had that was kind of mind blowing in the last day or so was I'm getting reports. So everybody ran Houston and everybody ran Austin all the time. And these were probably all the same runners who ran Chicago and New York and London. I don't know how everyone runs all of these races, but I feel like everyone's running all of the races all at once, everything all at once, everywhere. So like some of those recaps is like I'm seeing channels and runners with 20,000, 30,000 followers who I don't know. And it's like, wait, well, all I do is run and listen to running YouTube. How can I not? Why is the algo not serving me up this channel? So one of them like co-interviewed that professional runner, McDonald. I don't want to call him Norm McDonald. So I'm not gonna guess his first name right now. But he ran a 60-minute, 58-second half marathon in Houston, and he's got 20,000 subs. I never even heard of the dude. And so I mean, I listened to the interview. It's great. Now I'm gonna have to watch it. So Adrian Wong's in here, says Morgan, I think it was, yeah. And Stevie 77 says Michael McDonald. Well, we got conflicting intel there, but we're definitely feeling like it's an M. So yeah. Adrian Wong says he did us a service with the great views of the Cloud Boom Echo 4. Yeah, he ran in the Cloud Boom Echo 4. I almost bought the 3 when there was the Alpha Fly 3 sweepstakes and you couldn't get it. And then I was like, man, I was saving up all this money to buy this shoe, and now you can't get that shoe. And it doesn't look like it's going to get restocked for another 3 months or however long. So then it was like, well, could I talk myself into the Vaporfly 3? Oh, it's been out for a while. Nobody was like, you got to get the shoe. But it's like, this is on Cloud Boom Echo. It's more of a half marathon shoe. It's what they're saying. But I talked myself out of it. I talked myself down. One of the few times I can do that with running shoes. Very proud of myself. I send a picture to my wife and I'm like, I almost bought these shoes. I didn't buy these shoes. I just want to let you know. I didn't. I do know how to say no to shoes sometimes. But yeah, it's a good, it seems like a good half marathon shoe. I do want to talk about that later, like what makes a good half marathon shoe versus a marathon shoe. Now, I did make a recap video for the half marathon, the Austin International Half Marathon, formerly known as the Austin 3M Marathon. 3M is in the brand that makes Scotch tape, yeah, and stuff like that. Office Supplies. They're no longer in charge. Now it's BPN. BPN sponsors the Austin International Half Marathon. And in that video, I talk about running after all the BPN boys were there. And I don't know all of them. I know Eric Floberg. And then I've seen some videos from the Nico Filic. I think his name is Filic. And they all had the red hats on. Some of them did. And one of them, I was chasing him in the back half in the last 10K, was trying to close the gap. I think we were running a very similar pace. So I wasn't quite closing the gap. And he's a stout, he's a short king like myself. That's how I would describe him. And then he showed up in my algorithm. I was like, get out. His name is Luke Hopkins. And he's got 36,000 subs, and he's a triathlete guy. So it makes a lot of sense. He ran a 1:20:21. I don't know. I think he got me by about 14 or 15 seconds. But I figured, like I said in the video, I figured I must be doing good if I'm near any of the BPN boys, because Jeff Cunningham has them all really fast usually. So I knew I was in a good place. So Adrian Wong says, On's prices help me talk myself out of them as well. Yeah. That's the thing with On. That's really, I got the On Cloud Eclipse for $90 on the Supwell app. And that was my first On shoe. I think I tried one of the old ones on in a rack room or whatever those places, one of those Nordstroms or something, and I ran up and down the aisle and I was like, a bit too firm. But I never pulled the trigger on that. In fact, their Strike super shoe, I'm so interested in trying that because Andrea from Doctors of Running said it was very good. And people talk about it like couldn't afford the Alpha Fly 3 or the Alpha Fly 1. It's very similar, but not quite as good. But the price is probably just as expensive, if not more. So yeah, On's prices really I'm a budget buyer, so it kind of keeps me in check also. Alex Dominguez is in here. He says, I like to think you have a certain quality of viewers that those other runfluencers don't have. We have a higher standard of viewers. Yeah, well, I can't speak to that. I don't know. I love you guys. I mean, so I could speak on you, but I don't know where the other 30,000 subscribers are. We have some light roast today. So I try not to sip or eat on camera. I have that thing where in the brain where it's just like a peeve. It's genetic that you can't hear people eat food. You just get highly triggered. And I think my mom had it because she was always very aware of how we were eating. And then I'm that way with my kids. And then it's just something. Stevie76 says, Nick, 2 scoops bear. Yeah, 2 scoops of G1M Sport. I think I told it was in the interview with I've never tried G1M Sport because they always say 2 scoops, but a serving is 1 scoop. So if I'm looking price per serving, I'm only really getting half the value. It's kind of like, why don't they put enough electrolytes into 1 scoop and then you didn't have to take 2 scoops of G1M Sport? I will say I did like the Go Gel that I had on mile 7. So I'm a budget buyer. Those are free out there on the course. They say don't try anything new on race day. Well, it's free. Okay. It's free. It kind of had the consistency of a Huma Chia, if you've ever had those, like apple saucy, but it was strawberry saucy. Don't know if it had caffeine in it. We just took it down. And then I also brought some UCAN things. So I don't know. I went on the feed late last year and I bought a potpourri of gels from different brands, whatever was on sale. And then for the Marine Corps Marathon, it was a mix and match. SIS, Humachia, UCAN. My gut takes it all pretty well. It's all the same. So anyway, the Gojo was good. I don't know how much Gojels go for. I don't know how much G1M Sport is. I don't know how much. There was a Go Bar in my package that I picked up at the expo, so we'll eat that at some point. But I don't know. I don't know the prices. Jen Piazza's in here. She says, "Do you have misophonia? Misophonia? It pains me to hear someone eating or drinking, even the beloved Kafuzi." Yes. So Kafuzi is the quietest eater that I've heard. He is like I can actually listen to him, but like Joanna, when Joanna eats on I have to stop my run and change it, and it's nothing personal to anybody. It is the noises when people eat. I don't know what it is. JBS says, yep, agree on the scoops. I just get the cheap electrolyte tabs from Amazon and pop a couple over a race with water. Yeah, there's one thing I put in a video maybe a couple years ago, a year ago. There's something called Hydrolyte Plus you can get on Amazon. There's a lemon lime one, and it's basically what is inside an element. There's like 1,000 milligrams of sodium. It's like the keto friendly kind or whatever. There's not a lot of sugar. So I need that for 7 or 8 months out of the year daily as I go for a run in 75 to 80 degree morning weather. Here in South Texas, kind of sucks. When I don't want as much sodium, I do buy some Propel packets from HEB. So there's like, I don't know how they're pretty cheap, but it's only a quarter of the sodium. But yeah, cheaper the better with electrolytes. It's the way I do it. Matthias Sventos is in here. What's up, Matthias? He says, I took free gels at my first half. I was fine. Probably been worse if I did not. My gut is pretty solid. Rock on. Yeah, I don't think I've been hearing like the pros, they don't take the gels. They don't sip a whole lot of water. Of course, they're only out there for like an hour. But I do feel it's more mental than anything. So it's like I took it. And the reason I took the UCAN is because it's more liquidy. There's like more content. There's probably a a name for it that I can't think of right now currently. Adrian Wong says Go Gels are $2.99 per. I got a couple to try on sale for $1.25 from Central Market a couple weeks ago, though. Nice. Got the steal. I get on the feed whenever I get really low and I just see what's on sale. I don't mind goo gels. I know that they're very pasty and they get old. If that's all you have and you're taking like 4 or 5 of those suckers on a long run, yeah, gotta mix it up. Gotta have some water at some point there. So, but I don't mind goo. So, but it was good. It was a good trip to go to up to Austin. I haven't been. I went to school there 25 years ago. That sounds so bad. 25. Well, it doesn't sound bad. It just sounds like I'm old, which I technically am, which sucks a little bit. But yeah, it's been about 25 years since I've been up there. Not up there. I've been up there a few times, but it has changed so much in the last 25 years. It's so I don't know if you guys have been, but I definitely recommend the Austin International Half Marathon. If you didn't watch the video, a little bit about that. It is a cheater course, so you do get to run downhill. The majority of the race, it's negative 300 elevation, and so does it count? I don't know. There was a tailwind, all that cold wind that was bothering everybody in Houston because Houston, you kind of run everywhere. Austin, you're just going up and around and then straight down for like 13 miles. So, but San Antonio where I live is about an hour away from Austin as far as a drive goes. And down here, it's 2/3 Hispanic. Up there, it's maybe a third. So I come from Garza. My wife comes from Garcia. So, the tacos are just a third better down here. There's a taco war, if you didn't know. But yeah, it's one of my favorite memes was like how to eat the best breakfast taco in Austin is get in your car, drive down to San Antonio, go stop at literally any taqueria, get a taco, eat it, then get in your car and drive back to Austin. That's how we do it. So, but when I was there in Austin, so much of the population was, keep Austin weird. And what you got, liberal, woke, whatever. And now it's like 70-30, 70 that, and then like 30 like tech bro, MAGA tech bro. Yeah, just it's just such a weird vibe. Now it's just so different. So you just have like a big Google building downtown, and it's very broy. And just in general, I feel like the town is, and maybe it's a destination city. You just see like Joe Rogan's there, Lex Friedman. And so in attendance in the Austin International, we had all the runfluencers out there, the offluencers. Jeremy Miller was out there. Matt Choi was out there. I watched a video the night before. I made the mistake. I opened up my phone and got on YouTube or in Instagram, and I saw a flat lay from Floberg. I was like, oh, Floberg's going to be down there. All right, he's going to go say hi. And then saw Matt Choi like breaking 80 or something like that, where it was like running a half marathon PB. I was like, oh, Matt Choi will be there. And then it was just like all the Austin people. So then I literally got on there. I know Matt Fox was my coach. He was running Houston. So I didn't know if he'd see it, but I was like, everyone's talking about Mance versus Klecker and who can get this, American world record half marathon time. But they're totally sleeping on Choi v. Posa. Totally. But he got me. He wasn't even racing me, but he got me by a minute. Adrian Watson here says, fellow Longhorn here. I was surprised it went straight down Speedway like that. Yeah. During the race, though, if you're running, there are some lefts and rights, and then you like turn, and all of a sudden, then you would get the win. So it wasn't behind us the whole entire time, but for the most part, it was. So extra cheat on that. Jason Horner's in here. What's up, Jason? Hey, everyone. Hopefully, we're all starting our 2025 as fast as Senor. Posa did in Austin. Yeah, cheers to everybody. Did anyone race this weekend? Like, I'm assuming everyone listening to this, except for Jen, she's in New York, ran Houston or ran Austin because it's just, I don't know how it happens, but every single time you're just looking around, it's like everyone's posting. I feel the same thing with Chicago. Like my entire Strava all ran Chicago every year. So I always feel like I'm missing out whenever I don't because I ran it once. And I know how awesome that race is, and then I just see everyone ran it. So, all right, shoe for shoe talk, because this channel is called Shoe Talk. I think that's what I called it, right? Running Shoe Talk. That's what we called it. So I was thinking about for a topic like what makes a really good half marathon race shoe. Earlier we were talking about the Cloud Boom Echo 3. And like, what do you run when you run in it? And then you're like, no, this isn't a marathon shoe. This is a half marathon shoe. Like, what characteristics or qualities about the shoe makes you think that's a half marathon? Because, oh, I got another new shoe problem. Off the Supwell app, I got some new Puma Deviate Nitro Elite V3 for 190, so it's $40 off the retail price. Still a little pricey, but that shoe in general is hard to come by, so it's definitely not going to go on sale anytime soon. I loved running in the Fastar. So the Deviate Nitro Elite V3, I'm going to say I've got 2 runs in it. And so my first impressions, the first run was a little underwhelming. And I think I put too much expectation on it, so that was probably my fault. Maybe in the back of my head, I was thinking this was Kafuzi's favorite shoe, race shoe, and because I loved the Fastar Elite V2 as well, that this was going to be it. This was going to be the move, and so it feels like the second run was much better, by the way. So second run came in, I was like, okay, so I'm getting this bounce back. I think it would be better in a full stride. So like a marathon pace shoe is what it kind of feels like. I know Puma is marketing the Fastar as the marathon shoe, but really I think the Deviate Nitro Elite V3 feels like it's really good in that the bounce and the return is like in a full stride, but it's also lightweight and nimble enough that if you decided you wanted to switch gears and pick up the pace, you could. But I think what it's missing is the responsiveness. It's like that's not a very firm plate. In fact, it's weird. My front toes feel like they're a little bit in front of the plate, even. And so it's like pushing it behind me, but I'm not getting a lot of snap off of it. And it's a $230 shoe when the competition's 250 or 270. So maybe it's like supposed to be just more accessible, but it kind of reminds me of a bulkier Hoka or just like a slightly bigger Rocket X2. And that makes sense. I think the Puma shoe is 40 millimeters in the heel, 32 in the forefoot for an 8 millimeter drop. And the Skyward X is, why am I saying Skyward X? The Hoka Rocket X2, they all got an X in it, is 37 millimeters in the heel and 31 in the forefoot. So they're both bouncy and they're both nimble and they're both fun. They're both a great time. But I don't know if I would take the Deviate Nitro Elite V3 for the half marathon. I mean, it would still be a really good half marathon shoe in that it would be protective, fun, bouncy. You would probably still run a really great time in it. But is there something a little more aggressive? Yeah, like I would take the Fastar Elite V2 over that for a half. So Stevie76 is in here. He says Choi v Midlife topless. Yo, he took his shirt off in before the race started and he went. So I mean, say what you want, but that's big nut move right there. That's big nuts. It's because it was 27 degrees, feels like 11. And he went. And I saw him in front of me in the first few miles. He was way up there, but I was kind of easing into the race. I never saw him again. So we never saw him down the stretch. Jason Horner's in here. He says the Vaporfly 3 is the perfect half marathon shoe, in my opinion. That one is also on sale on Running Warehouse in about every colorway, but $60 off, maybe about $200, somewhere around there, I think. And I asked the Don, I play that card sometimes. So then I hit up Joanna and I was like, hey man, I've got the Rocket X2. I've got these other shoes. I don't think a Vaporfly 3 is a must buy. And I'm saving up for the Endorphin Elite V2 and then like maybe another shoe. So am I good to pass on it? Yeah, I don't pull the Don card frequently. And he's like, yeah, I think you're good to pass on it. So we didn't get it. Stevie76 says Joanna and others are saying whether it's a mistake with the trend to make race shoe midsoles softer. Yeah. There's that whole soft thing. I like a soft foam. But like a minimally soft foam, like the New Balance fuel cell version from 2 years ago, and the Rebel V3 and the Elite V3 from New Balance, the S Elite V3. Everybody said that shoe, like bigger runners were like, the foam is so mushy underfoot. It collapses. It's not supportive enough. And I weigh 145 pounds and I'm like 5'7" on a good day. Okay. And I love that foam. I love that. So I like it, but I have been confused this year because they said the Adios 9, the Adios Pro 4, they're like, it's soft and bouncy. And I'm like, well, those things seem to conflict with one another because it's either soft and it's not giving me energy return, or it's bouncy and there's some good rebound and it's jumping back at me. But to be both, it is kind of weird. And I think the epitome of that is the Neo Zen. That shoe, we talked about it last time, but that shoe, I was like, is this going to be a soft shoe for my easy days, my workhorse? Or is it going to be a fun, bouncy, steezy day shoe where I want to put it on all the time and bounce down the road and have a hard time just going easy because it's so fun to run in? And in Kafuzi's video, he was saying it's soft and it's an easy day kind of shoe all around. And I would agree that it is more easy than fun, but it is light enough where you can pick up the pace, and the higher cadence you have, like when you tap down, that formulation of foam feels really good when it bounces back. So it is versatile enough to do both, but it's so trippy because I feel like the softness limits the bounce. It works against it in a way. So I don't think you can have your cake and eat it too when it comes to those two things. I mean, we'll see. I was watching a video from him today about the Adios Pro 4, and I watched his other one where he was saying he wasn't a big fan of it, but it's best when you're landing midfoot to forefoot, and as a heel striker is not so good. And the opposite of that, the Endorphin Elite V2 is better as you land in the heel, which I do late into a race, I'm sure, but I land mostly more midfoot. So, my experience in that shoe would probably be different than his. But I didn't buy the Adios Pro 4 because nobody stopped and shook me and was like, you need to watch Sopranos right now. Go home. Go to Barnes and Noble right now and buy every Harry Potter book and read it. Like people go to bookstores anymore, right? Nobody's telling me word of mouth is not strong enough to pick up the Audios Pro 4. So we're gonna wait. We're waiting on that one. Panos is in here. He says, I just bought the Puma Deviate 2, 68 euro, $71. Sized up as you recommended, mainly for threshold workouts. Deviate Elite 3, Deviate Elite V3, nowhere to be found in France right now. Yeah, the Deviate 2, man, that is a hell of a shoe. Now, they did refund me at Fit to Run because the midsole fell apart. But so got my $60 back, but it's a very fun shoe, and I'm looking forward to trying out the Deviate Nitro 3 when that one goes on sale. So, but the Elite V3 came out and then it was hard to find, and then they did a restock, and then you can find it around now, I think, in the States, but it's not going to go on sale anytime soon. So Adrian Wong says, what shoe did you end up going with for your race? Well, about that, I got a shoe that is under embargo. It's not out yet, so can't really talk about it. And I did a couple workouts in it. It's a fantastic shoe. I obviously ran a PB in it, and I think it's set to come out in the summer or late spring. So when it does, I'll have a video for it. Right now, my I'm conflicted because I need to take it for the Boston Marathon, I think, as well. But the month before that, the Endorphin Elite V2 comes out, and that one's been on my wish list for a long time. So if I do end up getting that, I'll have to test them together. But I am leaning towards taking the same shoe that I ran the half in for the full, because I do think it is one of those shoes that can do both. So I think what makes a good marathon shoe is like a stride shoe, like you're just in this full stride and it's bouncing you along. And to its detriment, what's hard is to break the stride and pick up the cadence late into the race. Like you just get locked in. That's how the Alpha Fly 1 was for me. It was very mechanical and it just bounced me along. And I always thought, like, late in a race, if they ever come out with a shoe that does this, where it locks you into this stride, but then if you wanted to, you could just start moving your arms faster and then your legs will follow and you start picking it up. And I suppose you could, if you're a good enough runner, you can do that, whatever, doesn't matter what shoe you're wearing. But you wouldn't have to fight the shoe. And I think that is something like the Puma Deviate Nitro Elite V3 would do, something that's lightweight and still nimble, where you can, pick up the pace, would be ideal for that. So this shoe that I ran in has the capability to be aggressive enough for the half, but also bounce me along and be nimble enough for the full. So I have to find out. Rich P is in here. He says, I kind of like the soft foam, but soft foam with high stack usually makes my hips work harder in the run. So my feet are comfy, but then I have hip pain after the run. I feel the same way, Rich. My first run after the Mizuno Neo Zen, I felt it, right? Because here's the deal. I went for the soft shoe with the high stack because I'm thinking I'm going to get some comfort. I'm going to make this easy run nice and comfortable. But the foam collapses too much. And that's was my experience with the New Balance SC Trainer V2 also. I would get some pain in the knees a little bit. I don't know if it was just like stabilizing. There was too much foam collapsing. If you just lean in that shoe, there wasn't enough. The foam wasn't as dense as the SC Trainer V1. So it was a bouncy foam. But again, I don't know if they started the trend or what, but I tend to notice stability issues. I mean, maybe I should just be a stronger runner like my boy Luke. That dude was built. Luke Hopkins, man, that guy was ripped. Frank's in here. What's up, Frank? He He says, I don't think that the shoe companies are going for softer. They're going for the lightest and the most energy return. That just happens to mean soft. Think you're onto something, Frank. Yeah, and definitely the Puma Deviate Nitro Elite V3 is a very light shoe. Adrian Wong says, it is a little weird vibe. It is a little weird vibe for most people for the AP4. Feels like a lot of people saying things like, it's good, it's soft, but not that the performance blows them away, except for maybe Mr. Sagasu, aka Chris Sagasu, Chris Stepanek of Sagasu running. Yes. But he's honest with, I was gonna say, like, his reviews. I think he hated the Puma Deviate Nitro 3. So, but I mean, when you listen to reviewers, I think you get a good sense of what they like and what they don't like. If they like stack, if they don't like stack, if they like soft, they don't, and kind of how shoes work. And then it's also important to know, are you heel striker, your 4-foot striker? And I think he's a 4-foot striker. And like Joanna, for example, is more of a heel or mid, to my knowledge. So the ride experience is going to be different where you land depending on the shoe's design. So when I ran in the Evo SL, I thought, wow, if you're a 4-foot striker, I feel like when you land, you're landing right where that cliff is. It's just going to propel you forward. You're probably going to really enjoy this shoe. So just a thought. Maybe I was right. Maybe I wasn't. I know he liked that shoe as well. So Frank says, I always felt like I had to catch up to the Alpha Fly 1. Yeah, the Alpha Fly 1 did this thing where it had enough foam in the back that ZoomX where it would collapse. So I could and it would protect me. I could just stomp down. I didn't have to worry about getting hurt. And then it would roll me through forward into the ponds and launch me. And it felt like a cheat code. It has always felt like a cheat code. And in other shoes, like the Vaporfly, there wasn't as much. And even the Alpha Fly 3, I feel like it just, like when I go to strike my foot down, it just collapses real quick. And then I get the ground contact and I go, it still feels good, but it doesn't quite catch me. Let's see. I'm not going to say this right, but Duplo Masset is in here. He says, have you ever run in a trench coat? Asking for a friend. I have not run in a trench coat. I ran in a Forrest Gump costume one time, but that's it. And I think that might be all that I do with the getting dressed up as characters. I thought in my head that, when I ran the Chicago Marathon, which was my second marathon I ever ran, and it's the only one, like the first one I didn't bonk in. And for like miles 7 through 9, I ran right next to this guy dressed up like Forrest Gump. And man, his beard was natural. He had the natural beard already. He wasn't wearing like a costume. And the crowd support that guy got was insane. And I was like, yeah, I need that to break sub 3. That's going to be fun. I'm going to get crowd support and I'm just going to push. So I got this really warm, hot costume. I mean, I got warm as I wore it because I had the whole get up on, and the crowd support was lovely, but I did not break 3. I actually saw, I think I know what happened because Steve Magnus just came out with a video about muscle tension and keeping that tension. I lost the tension. I fumbled that taper hard and I showed up. I missed my coffee. There was a lot that went wrong. I showed up, like I woke up at 4:30, which would have been 3:30 my time for the race. And I was so tired. I hit the halfway at like 1:30 and I was just like, I'm so done. So Stevie76 says, I ran next to Manson Houston, 4:30 a minute pace for a couple of seconds. I almost died. I wore the Super Blast ones. That's awesome. Yeah, I can't hold any of their paces for even a 400. I think I did an all-out 400 in a Takumi Sen 8 a couple years ago on the channel, and I ran 67. but I don't even think that I think that's a 4:32 pace. I don't even think that's a 4:30 pace. And I was writhing on the ground. I collapsed. I wouldn't be able to catch up with that guy either. Frank says it would be surprising if we weren't reaching a plateau in shoe performance. Yeah, I'm glad a lot of people, companies caught up though, because I know in the beginning it was a gamble. I spent $180, which was a lot then for the Carbon X. It's like Hoka's plated shoe. That was not a good time. That was a mistake. There was definitely some catching up to do from the other brands to catch up with Nike. Um, Duplo Masset says, I ran a marathon with a bottle of Jack filled with apple juice. I took swigs for the first 5 miles. That's awesome. Uh, Frank says, usually when you hear run, Forest, run, they aren't being supportive. Yeah, well, I can internalize everything. We round up around here at midlife. So any comparisons, anytime anyone's like, you look like uh, Logan Paul or whoever, right? You look like that guy from The Office. You look like Hugh Grant. I assume positive intent, and I just say thank you and like thanks. I hope you meant that well, but in my head, you did. It doesn't really matter. So I will say on today's run, by the way, I started the run with the Evo SL again, and it's the temperatures are the same as what they were for the race day. It was like 20 something degrees, feels like 12. And I had to stop after a mile again. It's just my toes feel like they're gonna freeze or fall off. So I think I'm gonna run in that shoe a lot in the spring and in the summer. We'll get all the miles because that thing is breathable, a little too breathable. So I feel a little disappointed that I can't run in it, but whatever. Not really. Life's good. So Stevie76 says my kids were handing out bananas and oranges in Houston. I was offering cans of athletic and a beer, but I got no takers. Maybe too cold to drink. Yeah, maybe. It's possible. I might have taken you up on an NA beer. I don't think I've ever had one. We don't drink around here at midlife for about 15 years. So I don't drink NA beers either. But I would have taken you up on one. But I don't if people are taking bananas and oranges while you're running, I don't know. I don't think I could take down an orange. It would be pretty funny to try to peel an orange and go, or you just eat a banana as I ran too. By the way, when I finished that race, I was running blind. I didn't know what was going on. I really didn't even know my name. I was like expecting to see somebody or somebody to like to tell me where to go. It's a shoot. You just keep going forward. And then when I ran it 2 years ago, when you finish in the Austin International Half, there's parking garages right there. And my wife got parking 2 years ago. So she got out of her car. She was right there. She was like, "Oh, we're right here." I was like, "Oh, that's nice. It's nice and warm and cozy." But this year she wasn't. So we can find each other on the phone, like stalk each other, find me. So like I had to go like find her, and I was like, I was so cold. I didn't get one of those warming things. And then I ran into a runner I follow on Instagram, Paul Soriano. He's running the Mesa Marathon. He ran like a 1:15 or 1:14, I think. And I saw him, and I started talking. I was like, yeah, 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 cool. And then I like tried to find my wife, get in the car, and just like thaw for a minute. So it was a little too cold. But I would rather be a little too cold on race day than be a little too warm for sure. So all things being equal, I can't whine or bitch about that. And then all throughout the rest of the day, anytime I was like, or like, I was eating, it was like I overeat. I'm just like, oh, I'm gonna get cinnamon roll waffles, whatever, just eat. She kept saying, Andrew was a half. It was 13 miles. Like, like what are you doing? It's a half marathon. You run marathons. What are you groaning about? I do have the DOMs, by the way. There's a lot of downhill. They say you need to practice the downhills for Boston. Well, I got some good practice in because I'm still sore. This week is supposed to be like a recovery week, and then there's like 12 weeks to Boston after that. There's still some speed work in this week. There was supposed to be some today. I opted out of it because I'm not there. I'm just gonna listen to my body and recover. So, um, all right. Let's see here. I do have some packages. Some packages. So one of them we got. Can't see that. The Roadrunners Club of America Coaching Certification Level 1 course. So we're doing a 2-week, 2-day workshop here this weekend. So add me to your list of people on the internet who now think they're a coach. And I'm looking forward to getting roasted on that one, but whatever. All right, I have one more. Frank's in here. He says, your run today was pretty good for having DOMs. Yeah, I warmed up into it, and then I stopped on the last 2 miles. I turned those into easy miles. So it was a progressive run. The progressive run was supposed to be like 15 minutes, super easy and easy, and then steady, like gray zone, like shorter marathon pace. And then you're supposed to do the last 2 between marathon pace and half marathon pace. And I started probably not easy because it was cold. So I probably just started not super easy, but easy, steezy. And then I did steady. And then I got into the gray zone runs, and my hamstring was a little bit like tight, and I could feel my shins a little bit. I was like, no, I'm not recovered. We got some good blood flow. We're gonna cruise these last 2 in. We're not gonna do the slightly faster than marathon pace ones. We are going to keep the Monday rest day throughout this block as well. And like I said in the video that came out today, I'm not going to have a time goal for Boston. I'm just going to run by effort. And my big concern there with Boston, I wouldn't say concern because I'm going to really enjoy it, but is I ran a 3:02:24 in Houston last year, not this last weekend. That's what qualified me for this Boston coming up. So I'm gonna they don't I mean they just put you with whatever you ran. So I'm gonna be surrounded by 3-hour marathoners. But if my marathon pace is like in the 6:20s, that's like a 2:50. But I'm not gonna have any room to pass people. From my understanding, when you run Boston, it's very crowded for the first 5K. You don't, I mean, so you're kind of locked in. So I have no choice but to start easy anyway. So I'm just gonna run by effort and kind of see uh, what's going on. So Dupla Massette says, do you think you can run faster than Wemby? Probably not. I think he could probably walk faster than me. Maybe I don't know how his aerobic endurance is. He does run a lot in all of the games. So, but I mean, his stride length has to be quite off the charts. He could probably jog a 5-minute mile just by the look of it. So, all right, second package is from a company called Wolaco, Wolaco, and so we got some tights. It's the perfect time. I have like one pair from Under Armour, and so like it gets this cold in South Texas literally for a month or two, which is great. It's just like race season, race as much as you can whenever it gets cold like this, because starting the first week of March, the humidity comes in. And I remember even like a few years ago, feels like 78 in the morning, and then in the afternoons, it was already over 100 in the spring. So I just, I look forward to this weather all year. So December, January, February, There's only months that I'm gonna wear these tights, so, oh, we'll give it a shot. Pano says, "What's the process to be certified as a coach?" Well, there are a couple different organizations. So there's like the USATF or whatever, the track and field. That is more comprehensive, I think, process. And there's all these levels that you go on no matter what, right? So like this particular organization is highly recognized. It's one of the main ones. So you go through this like course for 48 hours, you're writing plans, you're doing stuff like that, right? The next level that I would get, you have to coach for a year. So I may take on some beginning runners and other runners like in the next year or so, and then we'll work together in the process, and then you can go for your level two like the following year. So you can't just like crash course Google it, but it is also running, so it's not like 7 years of school. I'm not cutting any shoulders open. I'm an orthopedic surgeon. I know, you know what I mean? It's like this stuff is pretty well documented. There's not like rocket science is basically what I'm getting at. But having the certification means, I know a lot more, right? And that it's certified. And like when I'm looking for a coach, I don't necessarily think my coach has to be faster than me or anything. This is my thinking anyway. Just that I want them to have some level of experience or charge me a lot less. And that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to charge a whole lot less because I'm just getting started. And, I got the knowledge. So Frank's in here. He says, "You pass people the entire way in Boston." Well, that's exciting. One of the things I know when I ran the Austin, okay, guys, it's confusing because like in the Kafuzi live stream, I was in there on Monday to get my official bell to certify the PR, and Kafuzi said, "Oh, Austin, isn't that a hilly one?" Well, there's two. There's the Austin International Half Marathon in January. It's downhill, point to point, great time, highly recommend it. The other one is the Seton Austin Marathon, and that one is in February. It's a half marathon and marathon, and that one is hilly, and I don't recommend that one. And that was my first half marathon that I ever ran. It was a first race coming off of COVID because I started running during COVID, and then that race was in April, I want to say that year. It's like returning from COVID. Now, because of the COVID regulations, they started in waves really far apart. You couldn't have everybody in the corrals. So there was just a stream of people, and they didn't place you according to pace, target times, or anything. You just got a spot. Obviously, the elites went out first, but then everybody else was kind of whatever. So I left. I crossed the start line 25 minutes after everybody else. So there was just a stream of people that I was passing the entire time. And it did kind of lull me like from start to finish. And so I think it did kind of like give me a false impression that I was doing really good in the last 5K because I was passing people. So maybe I wasn't pushing myself as much as possible because it felt like I was doing so well. So it was a very surreal feeling. Like I maybe Boston will be like that. Frank says, "I always wonder if most of the people getting coaching certifications are coaching high school. There's going to be a lot of maybe 25 people. I don't know how many people. I think it's like 25 people in this course with me. So, and we're going to all get to know each other. So, and work in groups and do that. It'll be interesting as well. I think what's interesting about coaching is the narratives that I told myself going into it. Now, I hired my first coach because I was running behind him in this 15K, and I love a 15K. I wish there were more 15Ks. I've never seen another 15K but that one 15K race. and he was running in front of me the whole time, and he had a shirt on that said coach. And then after the race, I talked to him because this dog came over on the hill country. Just we live in the hill country, so there's just a lot of dogs just roaming around. And this dog came at me, and I was like, I saw him after. I was like, did that dog almost get you too? And then after I bonked to the San Antonio Rock and Roll Marathon, he reached out and he was like, "Hey, if you're looking for some coaching," I was like, "I am. I don't know what I'm doing." And he's got a couple certifications, but I think it is through the USATF, so the track and field. So he doesn't coach high school, but he does coach a lot of people, push the pace coaching. And but I always wonder, like the coaches, Ed Eyestone and like all the guys working with the Olympics, it always seems like there's this narrative and story of a World War II or Korean vet who's just like this. Well, we got a whistle always, just, and he's been a coach for 50 years and he coached Olympians. And it's like, that's a coach. Everybody who coaches has to have 50 years and have served in a service. They're served their country. Like that's what I think of when I think of coaches. It's like, when was that guy a first year coach? When did he start? And one of the reasons, honestly, I signed up with Matt Fox was I was listening to a podcast, and Matt Fox is one of those dudes that was around. He's Sweat Elite. He was, he was in some Floberg videos or Kafuzi videos. I hardly noticed he was a peripheral character. And then one day in Spotify, I was randomly on Spotify and this podcast popped up, Sweat Elite, but it was like running fast for the marathon, like doing speed work for it. And I listened to this podcast with him and another guy, and he's like, "Yeah, you got to develop all this speed." And then I looked into it, and they plugged the coaching academy on it. And I was like, "Oh, this dude just follows all the professionals around and sees their workout, sees how they do. Like he's been running his whole life." I was like, "That's the perfect guy to coach me because I need to get speed, which he has experience in, and all he does is follow around all the elites and see how they do it. You just mimic it." So that was my thinking behind that. I don't think people really think much about coaching. I think a lot of people probably prefer to be self-coached, but I know that I'm the kind of person who will make a lot of mistakes on my own. I don't have a lot of time to make those mistakes. I don't want to make those mistakes. So I prefer to have a coach. And so that's just me personally. I understand if people don't want to have a coach and they want to coach themselves to do whatever they want. It's good, but I feel like a coach will help me also see my blind spots and then, see what works. Stevie76 says midlife is that one student in the front row that always raises their hand. Yeah. You know what though? Whenever I was in class, I always switched seats. It didn't matter. I'm not a creature of habit. I guess my habit is always mixing it up, talking to strangers, sitting in new spots, but I am raising my hand first. Yep. Matt Byers in here. Welcome, Matt. Finally made it on. We'll listen back later to see what I missed. Awesome. Well, thanks for popping in. Matt was trying to convince me to run this half marathon in the Takumi Sen 10. I was very close to doing it. I think I would have still PB'd in that shoe. That shoe is a great shoe. Matt Byers says, my first race of the year is a winter 10K on February the 2nd in Central Ohio. Well, it pains me to say congratulations to fans of the Ohio State Buckeyes for another national title. They would beat my beloved Longhorns. Random sports note. I knew Quinn Ewers, he's a little bit slow in his decision making. I was like, this dude's going to get sacked 5 times. He's going to make a critical mistake. And he did, but whatever. It's just, you could hear the grief that's in there. Well, good luck, Matt, on your race on the 10K. I'm assuming you're going to take the Takumi Sen 10. I'm going to say 39:51. That's the time. You're going to smash it. You're going to smash that time. Okay. Well, it looks like it's 1:00. So that means it's time for some kid pickup. And I appreciate you guys stopping in. in the middle of the week, in the middle of your day, to talk running. So we will stay on the No Saturday live streams, and we will be back next Wednesday. I'll see if I can hunt down the adapter for my kids. I don't want to make them cry if I take it back and then they can't play Fortnite or something. So I would rather them play Fortnite and you guys see me in SD than see me in HD. So anyway, I appreciate you guys. Thank you.